Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the show, Mortgage Talk with Mark. I'm real excited to introduce my guest today, and here's a couple reasons why. First of all, he's a really smart guy. Second of all, I've had this show about 2 years, and he was one of my first guests on about the summer of 2023, as I recall. We had a great conversation. One thing I love about Chris, and you'll meet him in just a second, is he knows how to speak. I don't have to drag stuff out of him. So if you're looking to buy or sell real estate this year in Austin, Texas, or Central Texas, you really want to stay tuned and listen to my buddies, Chris Jacobs, who let's introduce yourself a little bit and tell us about your background.
Hey, Mark. Chris Jacobs. I'm with Portico Real Estate. Been a real estate agent now about 18 years. I just renewed my license in March. Been an active investor and real estate consultant almost the entire 18 years. I found my niche in real estate where I work predominantly with investors and commercial. And, we place a lot of money and manage a lot of portfolios and help clients make the strategic decisions on where to invest and how to invest and what to look for.
I love it because you're coming from a little bit different angle than most of my friends who are in traditional real estate where they're brokering and selling properties to individuals. Where yours is more of a portfolio. Oh, look.
Absolutely. I've got a couple of investors. We holistically sit down, look at what do we have, how the property is performing, dispositioning assets, reacquiring assets, kind of going through those. I've got clients that have properties they've never seen.
Wow.
Because it's spreadsheets. We live in Boston, P&Ls.
Exactly.
And that's what we live by.
You originally hail from Del Rio.
I'm from Del Rio, Texas. Yes, sir.
You're a Texas boy.
Yes, sir.
You know that market very well down there, too.
I do. Actually, I watched that. I watched the farm and ranch down there quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
We were landowners down that way and got some places out in West Texas further beyond that in Alpine that we love to get away to.
Let's spend this next 20 minutes or so we have on sort of Central Texas. What's happening here? Because like I said, you were here a couple years ago. And things, I want to talk about how things have shifted and where you see things today and in the future.
Yeah. So we were 2 years ago, we were dealing with, I like to use the word diluting values. Values were decreasing.
Uh-huh.
And, consumerism was
and that started around the summer of 22?
Yeah. I want to say the printing presses were turned off by the Fed in March, effectively, of 2022, where they quit buying all the mortgage-backed securities.
I remember the day.
Yeah.
It was a sad day.
It was a sad day. We watched rates go from the low threes to 4.5 overnight.
Right.
And of course, that sends shockwaves through the market.
Sure.
Mortgages cost it's about 1 point, about 12% more on your debt servicing.
That's about
thereabouts.
Right. So let's talk about that for a minute. 1%
Okay.
of interest rate on a mortgage is about 12% buying power on that property, correct?
No. Like let's just say if your mortgage was going to be, this is my understanding, so correct me if I'm wrong. If the mortgage was going to be $2,000, and mortgage rates go up a point, that mortgage effectively now would be about $2,250.
That's right.
$2,250.
You're right.
$2,250.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. So about 12%.
So it decreases your buying power.
Decreases buying power.
Right.
And then when we watch rates climb up to 7
or higher,
year, we all were like, whoa. Because we had been addicted to cheap credit, the last 10 years, and it was really
guilty of that too. I'll be honest.
So was I. I bought a car last year, and tier 0 credit was 7.9.
Wow.
At Ford Motor Credit, and I was just like, wait.
Yeah, what happened to 0.9?
What happened to 0.9? I kind of paused. I took pause because I bought my first car with a loan in 1993.
Yeah,
and my rate was 6.5. In 1993. And I'm looking at it going, I was a kid at 18.
Right.
Here I am, a full-grown adult with
paying a premium, man.
Paying a premium compared to what I'm used to. So
I just bought a brand new Ford, not Ford, I bought a Ram pickup truck this weekend.
Okay.
Mine's 5.64, so there you have it.
Oh, there we go. They're coming down. Ford introduced sorry, we got on a tangent with cars here.
Forget that.
Yeah. So basically, pivot back. So rates were kind of in a purgatory, and buyers weren't buying because things were more expensive. We watched prices decrease. So we have two metrics. Goldman Sachs had that article come out where it said Austin's going to lose 25% of values.
When was that? So last year?
God, that was 2022.
Okay.
2022.
So
it's been some time.
Got it.
So on a rolling 30-day number, because they didn't define how they were going to lose 25%. Just it was that story, the story that leads, the story that bleeds. Brian Buffini will tell you that. We were talking about Buffini. He's the one who drilled that into my head. So we did drop 25% from a 30-day peak value to a 30-day bottom value. But when we go look at it on
You mean over the last 3 years?
during a 3-year period,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
there was a hot moment that those two numbers did come into alignment, and
Okay.
we did hit 25%.
Okay.
But nobody cares about 30-day windows.
Right.
What matters is what is the 365-day, the seasonally adjusted numbers doing?
Mhm.
And seasonally adjusted, we gave up about 11% of values
Okay.
in Central Texas.
Across the board.
Across the board. It's just 11%. Now, I know
And
people,
that's reasonable. I mean, it's not
well, if you think about rates,
it's not really a recession in my
no,
opinion.
no. And mortgage rates are up basically 4 points. So it costs
Mhm.
you 50% more to buy a home.
Mhm.
And values only came down 10%. So I don't think there's that perfect crash everybody was waiting for.
Right.
But we have started to see, and literally this has just materialized since February 1. I do some regression analysis. We have some algorithms, and we are actually starting to see the 45-day seasonally adjusted line show some downward pricing pressure.
Still.
Surprisingly.
Yeah.
And
I saw that on one of your charts on Facebook.
Yeah, and it was kind
I
of
was so
weird.
impressed. I got to go back and hold of Chris.
Exactly. And I was just like, oh my God, here it is. Because I still didn't think from an investor perspective, it was a great time to buy yet. It was more of the, if you could find the right opportunities,
Yeah.
it's a great time to buy.
Yeah.
Opportunities you don't pass up. And I'm looking at going, I really think Q3, late Q3, early Q4,
Mm-hmm.
that's when those sellers who weren't opportunity sellers are still in the marketplace. And those sellers truly will be ready to wheel and deal.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the question is how do we wheel and deal and make it work for everybody? Is it a wrap? Is it a short sale? Is it, what does it look like? I don't know.
You talk
that
about
yet.
Q3 this year.
I'm talking about Q3.
Yeah, yeah,
so I think
yeah.
we're early Q2. I'm thinking in 16 weeks after this plays out that it may be buying season for investors.
You think some of this depression we're feeling right now is political?
I
Coming
would,
from the markets being really nervous about things. It feels like that to me.
It does. And we talked about that, kind of talked about the politics of where we're at. And you know what? I mean, I've been studying the market in Austin the entire time. Coming out of the semiconductor world where I was a metals buyer, I had to track metal markets.
Sure.
We worked with hedge
Commodities.
commodities. I was used to charts. And when I came into real estate, there was no real good charts. There was no real good metrics. Texas A&M does a great job with what they do, but they are reaction-based metrics that come out 45 days after the fact. And I needed a data set that was more, where's the market going? Because we live in today when we execute contracts.
Right. That's exactly right.
We don't live in what happened 45 days ago.
Right.
So everybody's like, it doesn't matter which party. I'm trying to be a little diplomatic here. It doesn't matter which party it happens. Like, markets always get better after presidential elections. Like, presidential elections don't do a blip to any of these things. No. It's just rhetoric you like to spit out of your mouth because you may or may not like the party that was in power.
That's right.
And I'm sitting here going, I don't think the change in the presidency was going to cause any changes, but I do believe that with what's going on with tariffs, what's going on with everything, that there is some chaos in the marketplace. And it's causing institutional investors who consume our mortgage-backed securities to be guarded.
Right. And
we're still seeing those high yield spreads.
Everybody's guarded.
And they're like, we'll lend you the money, but it's going to cost you.
Yeah.
So I don't think that we're going to see, I don't know what mortgage rates are going to do, but I don't think until we see that yield spread change between the 10-year T-bill and the 30-year fixed rate mortgage, we're going to be back to normal. And we haven't seen that in 3 years. So it doesn't matter which administration is in power.
That needs to come down.
It needs to come down because until that happens, we don't know what the market truly will bear. Because in my opinion, the investors have hazard pricing on mortgages right now because they're scared rates are going to drop. They got to make back all their money to generate those mortgages. So they front load all the loans.
Right.
But they've been front loading loans now for 3 years.
I know. Tell me about it.
And we're just sitting here going,
it's like, give me a break.
Yeah, loans have all been front loaded because now guess what? The mortgage-backed security investors that generated loans in Q3 of 2022 are making super big profits.
Oh, sure.
Now what happens? Are they going to report that to Wall Street? And now are they going to get addicted to the profit?
Yeah.
So are we going to see a fundamental shift in mortgage-backed securities? Are we going to see a fundamental shift in home buying? I don't know these answers.
Right. Well, time will tell.
Time will tell.
But based on your experience and your market knowledge and expertise, where do you see opportunities right now? I'm in the residential space.
In the residential space, I'm a firm believer in buying central business districts.
Okay.
And there's some theories, and I'd be drawing a blank if I told you the books. But I always advise everybody to buy as close as you can to a central business district.
Like in Austin.
6th in Congress. Buy as close as you can. You'll have pricing stability.
That's pretty central.
It's pretty central. The
Where's
Domain.
Domain? Yeah.
The Tech Corridor now, 183 from Cedar Park downward on that 183. And I was, I've got the cute little first-time home buyers. They're 24 years old.
Mm-hmm.
They'd be the 3rd generation of this family I've helped buy homes. So, first-time home buyers, we all hold a special spot for them.
I love them.
Because, they appreciate what's happening.
Absolutely.
Versus us older people who are, I got to do that for you now? I got to do what now? It always seems like my older clients complain about the mortgage loan process, where my younger clients are so appreciative.
Like, I know. They'll do anything.
I get home.
What do I got to do?
I got to write a letter? Sure. What letter do you need me?
Yeah,
what do I have to explain? I'll write exactly. I'll get the novella out for you. I missed my payment because I was on vacation. You've had plenty of explanation letters over the years, I'm sure.
Absolutely. We don't do that much anymore, but still.
I had to write a letter about missing a credit card payment. That
you did?
I did once. I was on vacation. I missed it.
You missed it.
It was paid 31 days instead of 30. If I'd caught it, it wouldn't have been reported.
The old days a little bit.
The old days of handwriting those letters. Good Lord. So I think for first-time home buyers, it's.
But then we've got to deal with affordability. You're close
to the
central business district, but your opportunities, for some people are going to be.
Those are
even as far as, in this case, Gerald or Temple.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
People are moving out.
So these first-time home buyers, they were qualified at like 340.
Yeah.
It's not a lot of house in Central Texas.
No.
In the 5-county area, being the Austin MSA.
It's becoming more of a house, though.
It is. But I kind of looked at them and go, you got to remember, guys, think of it this way. It's like, it's not your parents' house.
Right. That's right.
It's not an apartment complex you're renting and has somebody above you and adjacent you or below you.
Exactly.
And it's yours.
Exactly.
You can paint it. You can landscape it.
You
can do whatever you want. And at 24, you're buying what might be the appreciation window of an opportunity of a lifetime in Central Texas. Because if you wait till you're 35, you're going to get less house. You wait till you're 45, you're going to get even less house.
Right.
If my wife and I hadn't bought our first home together, and just going to preach to the choir about buying, we bought April of 2005.
Mm-hmm.
And we scraped every penny together we had to get a home. And if we had not bought in East Austin we were Cesar Chavez and Comal, right downtown. Oh yeah. It was $189,000. About it for, I'm going to throw
Single family home.
Wow. Bought it from Christina Valdez, who's another agent in this town that's been here forever.
Good.
She was the listing agent. It was her personal property she was selling. Christina and I are good friends to this day. And we were so happy to be homeowners.
Mm-hmm.
And Mark, we were in 1,000 square feet.
Oh, wow.
1 bathroom.
Wow.
It
was just 2 of you then.
It was just 2 of us and a dog.
Right.
And, we were on an 8,000 square foot lot on a little 1,000 square foot house, but it was ours.
Exactly. My first one was 1990, so I remember.
Yeah.
It was yesterday.
It was ours. We painted every wall a crazy color. We did everything we couldn't do. And we were young.
Yeah.
My wife was 27. I was 29. And had we not bought that first home, we wouldn't be living in Central Austin to this day.
Yeah.
I'm now over in Brentwood. We've got a great 2,300 square foot home built in 1958.
Beautiful.
And,
I couldn't agree more with you. And we talked about before the show that you think, and I think this too, although I've been saying this for a little bit, that this is a good time to be buying. Now, I'm not trying to push anything on anybody because I don't really know exactly what's going to happen, but it seems to me it's a perfect storm right now.
So let's talk.
A lot of inventory.
We are at, so inventory is a great question, a great comment there. We are at yesterday, 11,000 plus active listings in Central Texas.
God, dang. When you say Central Texas, you talk about the
5 counties. The 5 counties. So the MSA technically, so people who don't know, is Travis County, Williams County, Hayes County, Cadwell, and Bastrop.
Okay.
That's the statistical area that is Austin.
Okay.
11,000 plus active listings. And you know what? We have more demand than we did last time we were at this point, which was July of 2010. But there's opportunity in there.
Yes. You mentioned 2010 earlier before the show.
Yeah.
Which was the perfect time to be honest.
Oh my gosh. We bought tons. I worked with a lot of investors. We placed a lot of money in Central Texas in 2020. or 2010, and it got liquidated in 2020 at about a 400% increase
10 years.
in 10 years. And I don't think we're going to see another run like the pandemic.
No,
That was a unicorn.
that was a unicorn.
We will
Most
never,
likely won't happen again.
most likely will never happen again. But I want to step back a little bit and go why I think it's a great time in Austin to buy a
Yes.
home for investors looking for appreciation plays and for first-time home buyers and for any home buyer.
Mhm.
If we go and look at most of the United States, homes are selling for what they did during the pandemic. That's just, there's very
That is
small.
so interesting.
It's a nationwide.
Yeah.
And in Texas, if we look at Texas as a whole, homes are selling at peak pandemic pricing right now in the whole state of Texas. Now, real estate is local.
Right.
It is not global.
That's right.
You know, it is a hyper local
Microcosm.
It's a micro. It can get to street
Right.
even on why I don't get it.
Certainly neighborhood to neighborhood.
Neighborhood to neighborhood and street to street.
Yeah.
So something I really have just been digging in and going, this is why I think Austin's going to be a great appreciation play going into Q3 for investors. And I think it's going to be great for first-time home buyers who had the flexibility of time, is Austin is trading 10% to 11% below pandemic values.
Mhm. If not a little bit more in some areas.
Some areas, but
Yeah.
but that's,
Let's just use that.
yeah,
10%.
10%.
Got it.
My neighborhood's probably 15 to 20 in central Austin,
Mm.
which means there's neighborhoods that are 5 or 6% above.
And I live in Lakeway, and that could be 15%.
Exactly. So one of the things that I'm really excited about is Dallas and Houston are trading at pandemic peak values.
That's unbelievable.
Austin is not.
I know.
San Antonio is not.
Is it
It-
because we had such a high run during COVID? I mean, there's so many
Well,
people
there was
moving
we
to
were
Austin, Texas.
there were so many people, and I think what we've got right now on our sale, the people selling is, you know, what is, I don't know the factual number, but I presume most mortgage-backed securities are a 3 to 5 year product for investors, just through the natural
that's
ebb and
probably
flow.
about right.
Just
Let's
through
say
the
5 years.
5 years. So we're 3 years out of the pandemic. So that means people who moved here early on could be getting the bug for a new home.
Yeah.
Or they're relocating in and out. My wife and I keep our home for an average of 10 years. We
Yeah.
don't move like some people. I've got friends who move every 3 to 5 years.
Right. Like a car.
It's like a car to them.
That's what
Exactly.
Lee said.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm like, no,
No,
moving sucks.
I like it. Moving's terrible.
Yeah. I'm like,
This
oh,
is not worth it.
no, I bought a second house, Mark. And I was like, we filled that house with a lot of stuff from our current house. I was like, I got out of
Uh-huh.
having to buy another one to clean and purge
Right,
the house
right.
because we just bought another one, moved everything out
Right,
there.
yeah. I still
Um,
got stuff in storage, man. So,
But yeah, I think we're really on this cusp of,
and let's talk about an opportunity that very few people think about. And you're the one that brought it up to me this morning.
Mhm.
And it's really an opportunity for sellers too.
absolutely.
If you bought a property in 2021, late 2020, your rate's probably 3 or below.
See, and
I was looking at my inventory, not my inventory, my database. I'm looking at all these low interest rate loans. Talk about the potential there, the
Yes.
opportunities as a seller.
so we were just talking about this, and I was a firm. I'm a firm believer. I speak with real estate agents every day.
Mhm.
My Facebook was quiet for 4 months, 5 months. I
Mhm.
really was focused. I'm working with some pretty big investors and focusing my energy on production. And I've made 5 or 6 posts in the last 2 weeks. And my
I
page,
saw 'em.
Yo,
That's
you
why I
were
called you.
you were like boom. I've had 42,000 interactions from a 42,000 interactions on my Facebook between engagement, reaching out, messages. Like I have a professional Facebook profile. It gives me the metrics. And I was like, wow, people are in need.
They want to know.
They want to know what's going on.
Yeah.
So one of the most common messages I'm getting from agents is like, my sellers are upside down. We're priced where it's priced because that gets them out of the mortgage. And Mark, I'm looking at it going, is that bad advice? Because that mortgage, those
They don't realize how
2.5s,
valuable it is.
those 3.5 rates, those are hugely
This is
valuable
gold, man. It's
instruments.
gold.
And I think as we distance ourselves from the pandemic, the hindsight's always 2020. I want to put that out there
Sure.
for everybody. The mortgage-backed instrument from 2020 to 2022 will be the biggest short of the US dollar ever.
Mhm.
Now, you may not know what shorting is, and a short is taking a bet something's going to lose value. Well, what have we had? Inflation. What does that do? You lose value on your dollar
Right.
with inflation. But you've got a 30-year financial instrument
Yeah.
locked.
You got something to sell, man.
That you've got an instrument to sell that, hey, you know, I was telling Mark, I go, I think with us, the buyers on appreciation, there's going to be sellers who need to get out that we could walk in and get them out of the mortgage responsibility.
Right. With virtually nothing into it.
With virtually nothing into it, and still give them a couple points every month on the mortgage, because I'm willing to take a note at 5%. They're
Right.
at 2.5%.
Right.
They're making
money.
They're making money on the asset.
Right.
And that money can be made.
It's not even on the asset. It's on the loan.
On the
itself.
loan's the asset
Yeah.
at that point.
Yeah, that's true.
That it's producing money for them every month.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to see.
And you just sold one. And you said
I just
San
sold
Marcos.
one in San Marcos on an owner carry,
Yeah.
and for an
You
investment
personally, not for a client.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and it was
It's a beautiful thing.
It's a beautiful thing. And it goes from, it wasn't making any money as an investment property to it makes money.
Right.
And we have no responsibility as the investors.
Right.
Hey, if I have to foreclose and take
no.
it back, no harm, no foul.
Repairs done.
Yeah,
You
no
know,
AC
you're
unit,
out.
no capacitor out, no hot water tank going bad, no
Right.
hailstorm tearing up the roof. You know, these are the three most common
It's called
complaints.
mailbox money,
It's now mailbox money.
as
And,
they say.
and I'm looking at it going, I would buy another 20 homes in Central Texas.
Yeah.
Personally.
Yeah.
If I could wrap them, get somebody out of a bad situation, make it a positive for them, make them some money. We take the upside. It may suck. You know, you don't get the upside, but for an investor, hey, you know, I'll buy more homes all day long, given the opportunity for minimal amount of cash or a
Right.
small down payment, 5,
Right.
10%. I'm a buyer all day long.
Yeah.
You
But
know,
it also speaks to, and we can't go into detail around that strategy.
Yeah.
But it's a good one. And so let's talk about how to get a hold of you.
yeah. Well, if you want to get a hold of me, I'll just throw my cell phone on here. It's 512-983-3132. I'm Chris Jacob on Facebook.
Yeah.
You can find me, put Chris Jacob Housing Report. You'll find me on Twitter. You'll find me on Facebook.
It's a great report. You need to follow Chris.
Yeah. And my cell phone, once again, is 512-983-3132 to make sure I said it clearly.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm always available to help and have a conversation and talk through scenarios. It's kind of funny because my wife will tell you I talk myself out of more business than I talk myself into, because
Yeah.
she's like, you truly put everybody first,
Well, that's cool.
not
That's the
yourself.
way it should be.
It should be. And I go,
That's
it
the
pays
way-
dividends
that's
in the
way
long run.
You called yourself pious.
Yes.
Talk
Earlier.
about being pious.
Yes.
I love it. I
Just
love
a pious way of living
I
is
love
a good way of doing it.
That's good. But let's talk about some of the negatives, potential negatives. And this could be pressures on rents.
Yeah. So,
You know,
so
with
that's
all the inventory of apartments. Going online.
we were talking about that also. It's just like, you know, single family rentals have had a lot of pricing pressure on them.
much less the Airbnb market.
Oh my God, the Airbnb market. I'm in many of those groups, and those guys are all.
Are they hurting?
I believe the Airbnb market's hurting a lot,
Yeah.
because it was easy to make money during the pandemic.
That's right.
Nobody.
There was so much movement of people.
Oh, there's so much movement of people. And I remember fondly my wife, 4th of July weekend, 2020, looked at me and goes, "We need to get out of this house."
Was that the one in East Austin?
No, we're in Brentwood. We were in Brentwood now 11 years.
Yeah.
She's like, "We just need to get out of this house." I was like, "Where do we go?" She's like, "We'd like to Durango." I go, "Let's go pandemic in Durango." And we literally went and rented a house for 2 weeks and grocery shop, cooked meals, did everything
Right.
we did stuck at home. It was just someplace different.
Right. People did it all the time. That's how they lived. on the
Yeah,
road
that's how
back
they
then.
lived back then.
Yeah.
And there were some rentals in Fort Davis, Texas, which if you don't know where Fort Davis is, it's the highest county seat in the state of Texas. There's 2,800 people in the whole county.
Wow.
There were Airbnbs in Fort Davis making $120,000 a year
That's crazy.
for properties that sold for $200K, because
Yeah.
they were just getting crazy money.
Yeah.
Not
It
to
was
be
like
stuck at
free
home.
money.
It was
money was just flowing around.
we were all getting money in the check, you know, the PPP loans,
Oh, yeah.
the stimulus monies, wow. It was, my wife and I were just talking about the heyday of we make the same money, but it feels like there's less money.
Right. Tell me about it. So
So-
let's we've only got a couple
Yeah.
minutes left, man. Let's talk about opportunities real quick for people either buying or selling.
Yeah. So I think here's my opportunity. I think right now, if you're renting a house,
Mhm.
is you call someone like you, Mark, you figure out, how do I get an FHA loan? And you go and pull that trigger and buy something in
I
Central
couldn't
Texas.
agree more.
Personally, this is
Those
going to,
rentals are probably $2,500 a month on average, you think? Single
oh my
family.
gosh. Yeah. Single family, you know, this is an exception. I just did one at $9,500 in Westlake. But you know, the one on our street was $5,700
Yeah.
in Central Austin, just off Justin Lane and Lamar.
Right. Right.
But most of our rents, which we're not in Central Austin, we're out in Hayes County, or we're in Williamson County predominantly, are $2,500 to $2,800 a month,
3,000.
which is plenty of money to go buy a home.
It is.
The hard part for someone wanting to be a home buyer is that down payment,
Right.
which is FHA 3.5%. Still
3.5%. But we've got down payment assistance for people like that.
I would
You
do
get
any
4% from the state for free, basically.
I did not know this.
Yeah.
This is something I've just learned. It's like we were talking about me buying my first home. Like we scraped every
There's
penny
free
we
money
had.
out there.
There's
For first-time buyers.
If I could get a home and I didn't have one, I would do it. Because no matter what you do, a proven fact is home ownership creates wealth.
Yes, long-term.
Long-term wealth.
For
Being
sure.
married and owning a home creates exponentially more wealth than being a single person and a home.
Well, my wife and I own 3 properties in Travis County, and probably 90%, if you will, of my net worth is in my real estate.
I believe it.
I love real estate.
Yeah, I'm a firm believer. I'm 18 years in it now.
Yeah,
I'm a firm believer in real estate as part of a balanced portfolio for people, and it truly does.
You got to live
provide
somewhere anyway.
Well, it does, and if you're able to, and this is for my investors out there, if you're, if we can get you to get qualified real estate professional status turned on your taxes, it could save you tons of money by removing that $25,000 cap on your Schedule E income.
Yeah.
And
we can't go into that.
That's
now.
a whole nother
that's a
thing.
whole nother strategy and expertise around taxes and benefits of owning real estate.
We need a CPA for that conversation because that's that qualified real estate.
Unfortunately, man, we are out of time. I've really enjoyed it again having you on, Chris. We'll have to do it again.
Yes, sir. Thank you for the opportunity.
All right, buddy. Thank you.